Hello, this is Somnia Stellarum. I'm back for another episode of Kerbal Space Program. So in today's episode, let's just go into the contracts. On today's episode, I've done a bit of contracts in between episodes here. So there's some small contracts like test this part, and if it's something like landed at Kerbin or it's a pretty easy test, like at a certain altitude and it's pretty easy to do. Some of these are a little harder, like test this parachute at 400 meters a second from 16 to 19 kilometers up. That's a little bit harder. So stuff like that I tend to not use, but I'll try to do a bunch of these tests as much as I can to get mostly for the extra science. So like here you can get 5 extra science. I mostly just wanted to get enough science so that I could upgrade a few parts. And the one that I want to show today is going to be this one here. Flyby the Mun. So this is the moon in the Kerbal Space Program game. This is the simulated moon. So we're going to do a flyby mission of the moon. And then there's a couple other ones here, but we're not really going to be worried about them. I don't think we have even the Rockomax on our spacecraft, but we'll probably just get it. I grabbed it because we had a certain number of we had a certain number of days, or like a certain time limit before we could get it. So like if you look at this one here, it expires in 34 minutes. So we're probably not going to get this one. But there'll be other ones that will periodically refresh in here, and we'll be able to get the ones that we really want. But for now, we've got the Flyby the Mun. So let's go to, I've got a rocket already built and ready to be flown. So you can see the stats here. I believe it has quite more than enough power to do this mission. So we'll be pretty good for that. As you can see in the engineer redux, so we've got 7,000 or 7 kilometers of delta V a second, which is more than enough to do what we need. So let's go ahead and launch it. We've got it all set up with Valentina. We don't have any solar panels, which is kind of the big problem right now. So I've just kind of loaded it with as much battery power. You can see a whole bunch of batteries all around here. I've loaded it with as much battery power as we could possibly muster. But we're still going to be a little bit tight on making sure we don't use too much battery. Once we get the solar panels, it'll be much easier. But that's all right for now. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So we can go ahead and launch with this. So let's go ahead and launch. I've actually installed MechJeb as well. So I think for this one I'm just going to do the launch myself. But in further episodes, once I get a little bit higher up in the tech tree on MechJeb, it pretty much takes over the launch function, which is fine with me. I mean, I don't need to do that all that much. I'm more interested in building the interesting spaceships and seeing them go up. It's fun to do the launches for the first few times, but eventually they do start becoming a bit of a hassle. But for now we'll be fine with that. Make sure we throttle up. I've made that mistake before. And I think we're good to go. SAS is on. Valentina's strapped in. She looks happy. So let's go. We're gonna see a big smile when she takes off. Ready? Here we go. Little smile. Not so much. So this stage is actually kind of light on the thrust of weight. So it takes a little while to get up to speed. But once it gets going, it starts throttling up pretty nicely. You can actually see our total delta V is just over 4.5 kilometers a second here. That's based on the efficiency at sea level. So there's a higher air pressure out here, down here at sea level, and that affects the engines. as you get up into the vacuum, these engines are actually much more efficient higher up in the vacuum, and especially even the Terrier. This last stage here, you can see there's only 700 meters a second, and it's quickly climbing. That's the Terrier engine here. It's very, very, very inefficient at sea level, but in vacuum, it's incredibly efficient. So you'll see this get up over 2 kilometers a second of delta V. I think it's like 2.1 for this stage. So you can tell it's pretty good. We've also got a whole bunch of kind of the fuel pumps going on here. So these fuel tanks are pumping into this center one here. So you can see the main engine. If we zoom out a bit, there's the central engine is this one here. It's got ever so slightly more fuel. It's counting all the fuel in all 5 of these cores, and that extra little bit is mainly in the center, and once these 4 drop off, it'll actually be completely full. So you'll see these other 4 will drop off, and this stage will still be going full. We're up over 300 meters a second. I'm going to throttle down just a little bit. I don't want to get too many atmospheric effects, and we can start tipping over at this point. We probably could have started tipping over just a little bit earlier, but that's all right. We're just on a little bit more of a conservative flight path. And once we get over 10 kilometers a second, it's probably good enough to start throttling up again. In the upper atmosphere, it's a little bit easier to accumulate speed and not get aerodynamic effects as much. Certainly once we get over like 20-25 kilometers, then the atmosphere really thins out. It's still present, so you could still get some effects, but it's not nearly as bad as it was early in the stage. So we're coming up close to the end of these first stages here. We're getting some experiments, but we're not going to do any of those just yet. The material study, I'm going to wait till I'm as close as possible to the MUN to be able to do that. I want to get the low orbit of the MUN, so we'll try to get that. We're still pretty on target here, up over 800 meters a second. And climbing quickly. We are very well. Actually, we can probably go almost all the way over. We're up over 100,000. So, you know what? I'm gonna just throttle back here. There goes those stages. We drop them off, and let's keep tipping over here. I've throttled way back. It's much more efficient to burn strictly prograde in the orbit. So I want to leave as much to the top of my arc as possible. So this is going on a big arc here, and what I want to do is burn right at the top of that arc, straight to the side, and I want to give as much of that delta V there as possible. We're going to have more than enough delta V to perform this. Actually, I might as well. We got a minute 50 of delta V, so we're up over 140 kilometers. What I'm going to do is wait till we get up near apoapsis in 2 minutes, and then I'm going to burn the rest of my, well, probably not the rest, but as much as my fuel here, and try to circularize my orbit at 140 kilometers. That will be a pretty good burn. So I can actually, we've got 2 minutes. Let's go ahead and just jump in here really quick. We can actually do add maneuver, do prograde like that, and we'll see our orbit like so. So it's still not quite there. So very, very sensitive on where you burn. Let's see, 81. You know what? Let's call that close enough. So let's get over by our maneuver. 51 seconds. Doesn't really say what our estimated burn is, but just like that. Okay, let's hold that there. And at 30 seconds, I'm probably going to want to get going. Yeah, let's do it at 30. Actually, that was probably a bit late, but that's all right. I think we'll be all right. Yeah, so there's just going to be a little tiny bit left over. Yeah, a little tiny bit too late, so it might cause us a little bit of a problem. I kick back that apoapsis backwards. But I think we're still going to be all right. We're up high enough that we should be all right. This this vector here will tend to update to try to give us as close to this target orbit as possible, and so should the amount of burn. But we'll see how that goes. Make sure we're pointed at the maneuver node. Like so. Let's watch our apoapsis is pretty steady. It's going up slightly right now. Let's drop this down. That should be good enough. So our perigees now, our periapsis is 83 kilometers. Our apoapsis is 143 kilometers. We are in orbit. I think that's good enough. So we'll just delete this maneuver node, and we're in orbit. Look at that, guys. Okay. Oh, that was a little bit of a curvy orbit there, eh? Yeah, we've got a little bit of an inclination, I believe. We could probably find that here. Inclination, 2.24 degrees. Look at that, I can tell the inclination just by looking. It's just a little tiny bit. I could tell 2.4 degrees. But, okay. Enough patting myself on the back. Okay, we're going to want to be burning very shortly, actually. So, let's set up a maneuver here. What you want to be doing is burning pretty much as soon as the mun comes up over the horizon. So let's set up our maneuver, and we'll move it around just ever so slightly, trying to find the perfect place to arrive. So what we want to do is come around the front side of the mun, and then let's see if we can. Yeah, that's a little too close. We're actually impacting the mun there. So let's see. You know, we might have to. There we go. Oh no, wait. We're coming around the other side. We want to come in just like that. You know what, we might have to do another flyby here. Backspace, go back here. How close are we? We are a minute and 40 seconds away from this. We're gonna just delete this. Let's fast forward just a little bit. Let's clean this up a little bit. Okay, let's fast forward up to about here, and then we're gonna set up another maneuver node, and that'll give us about 90 minutes of time before we have to perform this burn. So that'll give us more than enough time. Just because in a minute we weren't really going to be able to get it set up and be able to start get set up for that burn. So let's try this again. Okay, so we're going to want to burn probably around here. Burn out like so. A little bit too far. That's alright. We've got the ability to adjust this. So that's coming around sort of the backside. You know what, that inclination is actually causing us some problems. We might want to fix that first. Okay, new plan. Fix the inclination. Then we'll be able to perform that maneuver. Can we find out where our inclination is? I know there's a way. I cannot find. Let's just do this. Okay. Okay, we've got our maneuver node. Let's orientate ourselves here. That's so fast forwarding it. Okay, like so. That's 30 minutes away. We're actually orbiting pretty quickly. So about every 45 minutes we're orbiting Kerbin. So let's speed this up a little bit. We're going to be staying pretty much pointed directly at where we want to maneuver. And what we want to do is try to eliminate as much of the orbital inclination as possible. So that's just the 2.24 degrees. We want to bring that certainly under 1 degree, probably under ½ degree if we can. There's not much to change there, but we'll see what we can do. So it's not really saying how much time it's going to take, but I'll probably start it maybe with 20 seconds to go, maybe even 15, and that should be good enough. I don't think it's going to take long. So sorry, just trying to maneuver in here. we'll be able to get in under, okay. So we'll count down the last 10 seconds or so. And then I'm just going to use Shift and Control to, or Shift and X to make this burn. So, okay, here we go. And as soon as it starts moving up again, that's when I'm going to want to cut. Yeah, so it's moving up again. So we're still got about a 1.8 degrees. So we might not have been really at the best spot for that, but it's close enough. How much of an orbit inclination do we have? It's not so bad. I guess it could be better, but that's alright. Okay, here, let's try for the mun again. So we're looking over there. So let's fast forward just a little bit. Get around to this side. Just like so. And let's try it just about here. Add a maneuver. Okay, I think we're arriving on the right side now. This view. Okay, so we're still coming in a little bit high, but not so bad. So what we're going to want to do is find a way to bring our inclination here down. So I might add another maneuver after, but this will be good enough to set up our initial orbit. So let's set up for this burn. We're going to want to maneuver. Let's do this one. We're going to need 800 8 kilometers a second of delta V, basically. So it's going to be half in this first stage, and then another 300 and change, almost 400 kilometers. So we're going to have to give more than enough time. I'm actually going to give the full 34 seconds here, so that we can make sure that we burn at the right spot. Okay, so we're set up over here. So you can see we're definitely in space. Nice part about these batteries, they all have this light on it. So we'll just end up like so. Right on that maneuver node. So we're all ready to go. So now we're going to go around the side of Kerbin, and we're going to come out the other side, and it's going to be time to burn towards the mun. So let's just fast forward that a little bit. Seeing all that lovely sky beneath us, the sun rising to our right, and lighting up our spacecraft. 12 minutes. Let's slow down a little bit. We can line this up and get a nice, beautiful view of the mun coming around the side, which will be pretty close to when we've got to burn, I believe. We still got 9 minutes. I guess we could speed up that little bit. Still waiting for the mun. Should be coming any second now. So I'm watching for the mun and the burn time. Well, it should be any second here, so we're actually going to start this burn a little bit early, like I was saying. So let's go. We're going to use the rest of our 400 or so delta V. Make sure our staging's all right. Ready for that next stage. Here we go. So we're doing pretty good. I think we're going to be very well set off. There's the Mun coming up over the horizon, just as I had said. When we get down around 40 or 30 meters a second remaining, I'm going to slow down quite a bit. Or maybe a bit earlier. 3.4 meters, that's not so bad. I was trying to follow the maneuver node, I should say. So let's see, how much more delta V do we have in our vessel? That's the big thing. 1.7 kilometers. So we still got quite a bit. I don't think we're going to need all of it, but we're definitely on our way. So let's go and see. You could see that let's just clear this one here. Okay, so you could see our arrival is going to be, let's go to the Mun, focus view. We're arriving just ever so slightly up on an inclination. So if we can try to bring that down a little bit, it might be nice. And also being able to bring it in, this periapsis is almost 700 kilometers above the surface. I'd really like to get down near the 10 or 12 kilometers and be able to get really up close and personal with the Mun. So let's go ahead and we're going to backspace here. We're going to set up a maneuver node. So you could see if we back out, the best spot, we're kind of coming up ever so slightly here. And that's why we're coming in at a weird angle, and that's why we end up on this weird back spot. So this whole orbit is kind of tipping up, and it tips up almost kind of around this hinge point here. So let's add that as a maneuver. Let's go back here and focus our view here. And then what we're going to do is try to use this maneuver to see if we can't adjust this. So if we go that way, we go up. So we're going to want to go the other way. Let's try to bring us down right in line. A little bit too much, actually. That should be good. So that brought us down ever so slightly as well. And let's see if we can't bring this in just a little bit. "98 kilometers. We can do a little bit better, can't we? 43. So we're trying to do as much of this burn as possible early in our flight to try to get really close to the Munner surface. 15 kilometers. That's a good target. I think that's a very good target. It gives us enough room to really skim the surface of the Mun. If we zoom in here, you can see we're really close to the surface there. So that is good, very good trajectory. So we're in nice and tight to the Mun. Still ever so slightly out. I think we're a little bit low now. So let's try to bring that up just a little bit. Just like that. And that brought us in a little bit more, actually. Perfect. 11 kilometers for 150 meters per second. I think that's a very good burn. So let's go back to our spaceship here. We're actually pretty close to being on target for a maneuver. We've got 1 minute and 51 seconds. It's only a 9-second burn. It's calling for it. We might do it a little bit early, and we'll be able to do some more after that. I'm going to quickly take some science here. So we're up in the high atmosphere or high space around Kerbin. Not do the material study. Let's do the temperature scan. And then let's do a quick EVA report. EVA, take that. Let's take the crew data, store experiments, and board, and we're back on. We're good to go. We've got 1 minute. I'll probably start it with 10 seconds to go because I'm not going to be throttling up the full way, but that should be good. Valentina looks happy. She's on her way to the Mun. So let's see what we can do here. We're all ready to go. So 30 seconds away. We're all tense. We're ready and waiting. Make sure the SAS is turned on. So spaceflight is all about waiting and then those crucial few seconds of burn. 16 seconds. So we're ready to go. I'm just going to be using shift and I'll throttle up and try to use X and control to control it. So let's get going. Oops. We're off our maneuver node here. Let's try to find it again. Okay. It's saying we're good. Let's see what we're doing. Periapsis, 1.8 kilometers. That's maybe a little bit tight. And I think you could see that here. We're actually impacting the surface. That should be all right. You know what? We can always do a bit of an adjustment burn as we're coming in here. Maybe not quite that. Wait that long. Let's do our little adjustment here. The wrong way. I want to go back that way. Okay. What we're actually going to do is just burn here ever so slightly. I'm actually going to delete this maneuver node. It's only like 6.3 meters a second. It's a very tiny little adjustment. How much do we have still? We have 1.7, so we're good. Let's line ourselves up here. Perfect. 14 kilometers. What do you guys think of that? I think that's pretty good. That's going to be a nice little fly around the Mun. So we're on our way here. I might have to put a cut in here. Our spacecraft is on the way. Look at this. We are on the way to the Mun. I'm going to put a cut in there. Let's take a look back at Kerbin. We're going to the dark side of Kerbin. But we're going to be fine. We don't have any solar panels that we need to worry about or anything like that. So it should be alright. I did add in some nice camera mods here. So let's take a look. This is the wide angle, and I've also got a science camera. Let's take a look. If we activate this, It's a view of, look at that. Isn't that pretty? We need to hide these. Hide this. Nope. Hide. There we go. And Kerbal Engineer. Don't show Engineer. Let's hide that. So these camera apps let you see some pretty cool, make some pretty cool pictures. So this is just like if you're on a spacecraft, you've got a nice little camera and you could take pictures of Kerbin. So that's pretty cool. I like that. But so for this time, I think that's it. Join me next time. We're going to complete our flyby of the Mun. We've got it in our wide-angle target here. And next time we're going to fly around it. We're going to use the gravity of the Mun to slingshot us back, and we're going to come right back into the atmosphere of Kerbin and do a re-entry. So it's a cool little, it's a neat little mission, and it'll provide lots of science. Yeah, hopefully you guys can join me next time. Okay, thanks.